I think sometimes we take ourselves a little too seriously as classical guitarists, and to just remember that we are also guitarists.
Yeah.
We're musicians first, right?
Welcome everyone to the Augustine Strings Wind Up second season. Today we have here with us Ian O'Sullivan, straight from Hawaii. Ian today will be using Imperial Blue strings. Is there a reason why you use Imperial Blue?
I mean, hard tension, I just like the snapback and the reaction, yeah. And sounds good on my guitar at home, yeah. I have a rather, the cedar I think I have at home is really warm and it brightens it up. Yeah,
nice.
Works great. Before
we start, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And after you finish this episode, go back to the other ones if you haven't watched. Follow Augustine Strings on Instagram, follow Ian on his social media, and let's start. Ian, for everything that you change, every string that you change, there will be a different topic. So first string is an Entree, E string. Second string B, beginnings.
All right.
Third string G, guitar or gear.
All right.
Fourth string D, dreams. Fifth string used to be artificial intelligence questions, but now second season is audience questions. So on Instagram, we ask people to ask you questions and we're going to read them here for you. Sixth string, my name is Edu with an E, and I can ask whatever I want on the sixth string. But before we actually start changing, you're from Hawaii. What are you doing here in New York?
I have no idea. Freezing is what I'm doing. Yeah, and I brought my poor kids too. I'm here because on Saturday upcoming, Ben Verdery is having his, I think, 10th or 11th annual guitar extravaganza at Yale. And this is going to be his last one. He's retiring, and so he invited a bunch of alumni out. There's going to be a bunch of Augustine ambassadors, artists out there. So excited for that representation. And yeah, and I'm gonna play just a couple of pieces, some original compositions for the afternoon concert, and then I'll be playing in an ensemble piece that Ben wrote for the closing concert that night. Cool.
Still on the Yale topic, you were the first guitarist to study at Yale with Benjamin.
Yeah.
With Ben. Benjamin's too formal, right?
It doesn't fit him really.
How did that happen? How did you end up in New Haven?
Well, I met Ben at his annual Maui masterclass that he did there in Kihei for 20 years. And I think he started doing the class in the 90s, you know, when I was just a little kid anyways. And it was in, I think, 2004 maybe when I first attended. And that was on the recommendation of another great guitarist that I was very lucky to study with by the name of Jeff Peterson. Mm-hmm. And Jeff is originally from the island of Maui and was, I think he was going to, at the time in the 90s, he was going to USC in the studio guitar program. He was home in the summer and heard that there was this guy from Yale doing a class down the road. Mm-hmm. And so Jeff just showed up. He just showed up one day with his guitar to the master class and played, and Ben loved him. And so they developed a relationship. Eventually, Jeff started teaching at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, which is where I did my undergrad. And when he was teaching me there, he was included on a compilation album that won a Grammy. This is when the movie The Descendants came out with George Clooney, and there was a soundtrack that featured all Hawaiian slide key guitar. Anyways, Jeff Peterson was on that album. He got the Grammy. He left teaching at the university as a lecturer to go for greener pastures and perform. When he left, he was like, you know, I feel bad, you know, to not be around, but you know, I really think you need good tutelage, and I think you should make an investment and go to this summer class, you know, because it's not only the fact that you get to study with Ben, but it's like, for somebody like me, you know, in Hawaii where we don't have a classical guitar community, it was my chance to have a sort of immersion experience, right? 10 days and nights hanging out with guitar players, talking about fingernails and strings and footstools and sitting position and etudes and my goodness.
In Hawaii. And for you, it's not a big thing actually because you're from there. But my friends who went is like, wow, it's in Hawaii. It was like, yeah, it's
Well,
the
it was,
corner.
and so that's how I met Ben. I showed up the first year. I think I was playing Lagrima and Adelita and all the usual suspects. So Ben, I went to the class and studied with him I went to that class for 7 years.
Cool.
And at the end of the 7 years, he was like, "Are you ever going to finish your undergrad?" And I mean, basically, he didn't say it. He said, "Aren't you graduating soon?" Actually, is what he said. And I was like, "Yes, I am." Granted, when I got to UH, when I started my major in music, I didn't know how to read. Yeah, I didn't know what a treble clef was. I had to hand back in the placement test blank because I had no idea. So they put me in remedial music. I started taking classical guitar, immediately got tendonitis, all the usual kind of stuff that you do. Yeah, it was a great first couple years there. But, after that, I ended up auditioning for Yale. I ended up getting in. That was amazing. And that's how I ended up studying with Ben.
For masters.
For masters, yeah.
And what is the thing that you did? Biology.
Oh, I did marine science at first, yeah.
Oh.
So marine science was, I like to spearfish. Yeah, so if you go through my Instagram and you go back there, you'll find all kinds of fish. Sorry if you're, not a vegetarian or something. But in Hawaii, we try to do the sustainable thing. I love to garden. I got fruit trees and limes and lemons and papayas and avocados and bananas we all grow in my yard and guava. And we also live right by the beach, right? And so I grew up fishing, and I thought, you know what, fishing and diving, I like the ocean. And my family music was seen as something that was maybe a little bit more of a
like a hobby.
Yeah, which is maybe a common experience, right? And so I was encouraged to do science first, and try it out.
So you didn't finish; you switched to music.
Yeah, so then I changed my major to music after marine science, and started with remedial. Introduction to classical guitar. When I first auditioned, actually, for the music program, I knocked on the door of Dr. Byron Yasui, who wrote the ukulele concerto for Jake Shunbokuro several years back with the Hawaii Symphony, anyways. And Dr. Yasui, I auditioned for him, and I sat down, and he's like, "Okay, you have a classical guitar piece prepared?" And I said, "Yep." And I had learned from ear, sitting down with a cassette tape, Eric Clapton, "Tears in Heaven." Because it's a nylon string guitar. And all I knew about classical guitar was it's a nylon string instrument. So I started playing it, and I played it for him, and I thought I did great. And he looks at me and he says, "Who's Eric Clapton?" Because he's Byron Yasui. He's a classical jazz musician. He doesn't listen to pop. Anyways, gotta love Byron.
Moving to the second string, beginnings. You mentioned you learn everything by ear. I'm curious to know how did you start with music? I know you play jazz, classical, you play ukulele, you play guitar, you play the baritone guitar, you play everything with guitar. How did it start for you, and why? Was it your idea?
When I was 5, I was in kindergarten, and Waialua Elementary up on the North Shore of Oahu. Class of 40 kids. A lot of, it's a plantation town, sugar plantation. At that time, there would be like once every few months where they would burn the cane, and all the kids with asthma had to go to the office because they had AC there. Anyways, that was my little kid times. Yeah, right? Different. And so I was 5, and I remember there was an assembly in the morning, and there was a couple musicians who played. Brother Noland, who I ended up making friends with years later, and now I know him really well. And the other guitar player was a blind musician he went by the name of B.B. Sean. And chicken skin is what we call it, right? Goosebumps in Hawaii, right? Where like you witness something and it's like, whoa, what is that? I was 5, and this guy was giving me hardcore goosebumps, like chicken skin. I was watching him play, and I was flabbergasted. Like my jaw was open. I was like, what is he doing? And I just was so excited, and I was moving, and I'm sitting there loving it. And I looked around, and there were a whole elementary school full of kids sitting in the bleachers, throwing paper, pushing each other, and nobody was paying attention. And I thought, what the heck is going on here? How are you not? I tried even getting my neighbor to be like, well, look at what he's doing. And nobody wanted to know. And I realized at that moment, I was like, I think that I hear music. Anyways.
Like I feel understanding what's going on.
I get it. I don't think everybody hears it as much necessarily. As much. They hear it, but they're not hearing what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know how to explain it, and I didn't have a way to articulate that until years later when I was almost a senior in high school, and there was a guitar player, the guitar teacher there, his name was Eric Shimamoto. I went to Kamehameha High School, actually. I left the North Shore when I was a freshman. I got into the private high school, Kamehameha Schools, which is a school for students with part indigenous Hawaiian blood, and it was started by the princess in 1884. Anyways,
is this where you teach?
And this is now where I teach.
Okay.
Yes. And anyways, I took beginning guitar there, and I would sit outside the guitar teacher's classroom and ask him to teach me things. And I remember he told me, he's like, "Hey man, you could get a degree in guitar, And I was like, "You could do that?" I mean, I thought that degrees were only for prodigies, and virtuosos when they're little kids, and only for like violin and orchestra, right, instruments. Guitar, I was like, "You can get a degree in guitar?" And he's like, "Yeah, you should think about maybe like studio guitar at USC or something, because I was in a rock band at the time in high school, and we would play Blink-182 and Green Day and all that kind of stuff. Sublime Santeria, I think, was the first solo I learned on the guitar. So when I was a freshman, when I got to that school, when I transferred from the North Shore, I didn't know anybody. I played ukulele, but guess what? At a Hawaiian school, everybody plays ukulele, so no big deal. And then, so I didn't really talk to anybody, know anybody, and then I saw this band maybe the first month of school after at like an assembly of all freshmen in high school, all these kids playing Green Day and screaming into the mic, and I thought and they're playing refrigerator cabinets, like just way too big. What they lacked in talent, they made up in volume. And my gosh, I just was like, I have to do that. And I went home and I called my friend who I knew played guitar. He was like, "Okay, go get your guitar." And I went and got a guitar out from under my dad's bed, and I grabbed it, and we tuned over the phone. We compared strings, right? So I'm holding it because you still had a chord. And anyways, we tuned the guitar, and he taught me how to play bar chords over the phone, and I knew how to play the bar chords for Teen Spirit, and then Santeria, the chords for Santeria, because that was a new song that just came out. And then I hung up with him, went straight to the CD player. I had bought my first CD, went to Sublime Santeria, that song. I was able to actually track it now that you had CDs. It wasn't like tapes before you had to like guess where the thing was. Now I could actually know that the solo started at this second, and then I figured out how to play the solo that night. I went to school the next day. I saw the kids sitting in the hallway, and I said, "Hey, could I try your guitar?" And I picked it up and I played the Santeria solo, and they were like, "How did you learn that? That song just came out. Do you want to join our band?" And that's how I got in my first band. Yeah, and then I was in a rock band all through high school. Yeah.
Moving to the third string, we're not going to talk about this guitar because this is my guitar, but I want to talk about your relation to this, maybe guitar and ukulele specific.
Yeah.
Because you play concerts with both, right? Do you have a favorite?
People have asked me that a lot, and I don't. I really think of them as very much related instruments, And there is a history to that, because the ukulele, although it started in Hawaii, right, it sort of has a lineage of a Portuguese instruments, right, like the rojão and the machete, right? So the rojão has the D and then G, C, E, A.
Right,
so it's
it's
like the fifth. So it's like the 5 strings at the 5th fret, except the 4th string is reentrant and up. So the rojão has the exact same ukulele tuning, except with a D on top of that added. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the machete is essentially like DGBE, but up at the 12th fret.
Oh, I see.
Right. So if you took the machete and the rojão and combine them, it becomes the ukulele. But the other thing is, Hawaii at the time in the kingdom was a very musical place, right? King Kalakaua, Queen Liliʻuokalani, a lot of the ali'i and the chiefs, they all, the guitar and when the ukulele did come around, they were sort of like the court instruments, in the Hawaiian court. And so the reason the ukulele really is what it is because it not only that it was invented in Hawaii, but it emerged in a musical culture. Right? Among musicians who played and knew music and were trained, like the work that the missionaries did there was so extensive, like nowhere else in Polynesia. And they used music as a way to encourage conversion, right, to Christianity. And it was very successful.
But you said before that every kid in the school plays the ukulele. Yeah. So it's like starting music in school, you get a ukulele.
Yeah, actually, yeah, exactly. So I remember in elementary school that would be music class, and they have a closet full of ukuleles, and they would bust them out and give them to all the kids, and we would learn a couple chords and strum, and then put them back in the closet, and you don't see them for a couple months.
It's a phenomenal instrument, actually. Like to make music, like the guitar, like it's hard to press in the beginning when you're a kid, but the ukulele, it's so easy to make music in the beginning. I love the ukulele as a I think sometimes people only relate the instrument as a educational instrument of like this concept of the ukulele being just play some chords to learn, and then you change to the guitar.
Well, think about this, right? The guitar is an instrument of choice, right? You can't play. You can only play 6 notes at a time. When you have voicings, you have to be very deliberate about that.
Yeah.
How much harder does that make it to arrange and compose effective music on the guitar than, say, on the piano, right? It gives us another set of challenges, right? Ukulele, the register is even smaller, right? The strings are even smaller. And so it sort of amplifies those challenges as a composer and arranger and performer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I really don't think that it's any less capable of making effective music.
Yeah.
Right? It's all in the hands of the performer and the mind of the arranger.
And you use guitar strings on the ukulele, right?
I do. Yep.
That's cool. Do you which ones do you use?
Same.
1, 2, 3, 1?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Moving to the 4th string, dreams. And first question I want to ask you is, I think the dream of, I'm not going to say every, but most of the, let's say every guitarist is to one day record an album.
Right.
And you have recorded a lot, right? I don't know how many. 4.
I've recorded a couple of,
EPs
2
too, right?
albums that are out. I have an EP that I need to re-release. And I have a Disney album of guitar and ukulele arrangements that is sort of in the can, ready to release.
Ooh.
But I have some prep to do with that, a little more editing.
But everything is recorded already for this one?
Yep.
Cool. When, do you know when?
I'm hoping this year. Yeah. The thing is, I'm juggling, a couple of kids, and I'm trying to finish this ethnomusicology master's, and then writing some books. And so, yeah.
And now
not doing much, anyways. Not busy.
You using this question as kind of an advice, like how important do you think it was for you, and how did you manage to record an album? I feel every guitarist want to know, like, how do I record an album?
So when I first recorded, 2012. Yeah, 2011. 2012.
So when were you in Yale?
2009 to 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. And then 2012, I moved back to Hawaii. Right after I graduated, I commissioned some pieces, and I basically put together a compilation album called Born and Raised, which was all classical guitar compositions by Hawaii-based composers. Yeah, because there was nothing really like that. I went through my entire undergrad and played all of this music from all over the world except Hawaii. And I was like, how is Hawaii so, like, you think ukulele and guitar when you think Hawaii, and we don't have any repertoire, really? And we had some, just a little, right? And so I commissioned a few to increase that. I composed a few, and then had a full-length album, yeah. And I paid for that through Kickstarter, which was the big platform at the time. And, the rewards are basically you get a CD when it's all released and things. Same thing I did for the second one, actually.
You made it happen.
Yeah, exactly. And then the EPs and the Disney one that I recorded, I just recently, the EP I recorded myself at home with a couple SM58s, and then have just making a nice quiet space to get a good clear recording, and then have somebody else do the mixing and mastering. Cool. And then the Disney one I did at my friend's house, like a home studio. So I think nowadays home studios are more common. The technology has come further.
The quality you can get from
Exactly. And so you don't have to go through the big bucks. Like what I did was I recorded the AVEX studio, actually, for my first album, which is where, like, a lot of great people record in Hawaii. It's a multi-million-dollar recording studio kind of thing. And so I knew I was going to get a good sound. The recording engineer I used was really good. His name was Milan Bertosa, and he's the guy who actually recorded Brother Is, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. The thing was, with an album, and the other, I'm almost contradicting myself, like with the idea that you can be, going home, the idea that you can record at home, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Because as a performer, I think it's important that you focus on performing. Let the engineer do the engineering. let the producer produce. Does that make sense? Like,
repeat this part, record this.
Yeah, like know your
just
role, stay in your lane. Like you may be one of those amazing few who can do all of that, and oh, you know what? Hey, bravo, good. You then go do it. Great, good job. But most, I think a lot of people benefit from having a team of people who are like-minded and have the same mission, are willing to work with you and be your devil's advocate. You know, finding a good producer. I'm very lucky. I work with this guy, Bailey Matsuda, who tells me exactly what I don't want to hear. He's like, dude, that sounds boring. That sounds flat. There's no melody. Is there a melody in that arrangement? You're playing all the parts the same volume, you know? And I'll be like, oh, okay, sorry, I can do better. You know, and like, you can't just be with like your friends necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So I would say if you want to record an album, like, yeah, okay, find the rep, you know. The important thing too is find a rep that is meaningful, right? Like not that nobody wants to hear another Bach 1006, but I mean, if you have something really great to say with it, then cool, go ahead and record it, right?
I mean, still on the dreams question, you love many types of repertoire. Is there something that you haven't done yet that you want to do in terms of rap types of music?
Well, my next project is going to be arranging Queen Liliʻuokalani's music for ukulele and classical guitar, because that's another sort of related to another project I'm working on. Like the EP I recorded is a kids EP, got a bunch of kids songs on there, and then the Disney one, of course, is all kids songs. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and so they fill a lot of what I'm dreaming about these days happens. You know, there are things like, where are they going to be when they're teenagers? Well, how am I gonna support them and provide for them and give them a nice experience, like every day, right? What is it? Are we going to sit down and do this, or are we going to, hey, let's go take a walk. Let's go out and see the beach, right? It's interesting how it really, anyways, becoming a parent really flips your priorities and your dreams, right? I used to dream about like what I would do, and now I dream about what I can do for them and things like that, right? I remember when we first found out we're expecting, you know, I called my buddy. I said, hey man, gonna have a kid. I realized, you know, I'm not important, you know? I'm just not important, you know? And he's like, guess what? You never were. Anyways, you know, and it kind of, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Audience question. Tell us about your ukulele curriculum project rooted in Hawaiian culture.
Oh yeah, so Darren is asked that question. Darren Au, and he is the guitar and ukulele kumu teacher at Punahou School in Hawaii, which is one of the oldest private high schools there, and where Obama also went to high school. 2 years ago, I got approved for a sabbatical from Kamehameha Schools. I told them that I would write a book. And it's heralded as a performing arts institution in Hawaii. It's you know, everybody knows that if you go to Kamehameha, we have something called song contest, which is where each grade prepares a 4-part harmony, a couple of songs, a boy song, a girl song, and a co-ed song, and then they compete. And then the best class wins. And it's over 100.
Probably very competitive.
It's over like 100, over 100 years they've been doing that, you know? And so it is a very musical institution.
Wait, I think I saw videos on like social media of their singing like on the stairs of the school, like
maybe
hundreds of kids singing.
It's amazing hearing when the whole school sings, when you've got 2,000 kids too, all the grades singing together because they have class songs they sing in 4 parts, and then you've got all of the ohana, all of the families there. Talk about chicken skin, man. Even
from the phone, I was like,
oh man, it's powerful, man. It's powerful when you talk about like Hawaiian culture. And so anyway, so they approved me to write this book. I was going to take all those songs and arrange them for guitar ensemble and for ukulele ensemble, right? Because I thought, hey, just play your voice part. You get to learn your voice part. I don't know what's happening here, but there we go. When I started writing the book, I put all the songs into Sibelius, you know, and I realized that there's not a lot of beginning, like, what's the first song they're going to play? You know, they need really simple stuff, like notes on each string. And so I thought, like, yeah, maybe I'll invent some things. And I thought, like, you know what, I don't want to invent little melodies. Why don't I just find some simple Hawaiian melodies, maybe? Maybe there's some really old stuff. And so I started digging in the state archives, and I found this book that I had heard about before called Hebuke Mele Hawaii, which is something that Queen Liliʻuokalani published. She intended to publish, but never did. She copywrote the book in 1897, the year before the annexation. And so, so I got this big collection of her songs. There's like 111 melodies. I put them all in a Sibelius. I found everything else of hers at Bishop Museum and the Iolani Palace of her handwritten manuscripts. I put them all in a Sibelius. I printed them all out. I organized them by key and then by difficulty, by rhythm. I organized them and I put them into 3 piles of about 40 songs. And it's going to be a beginning, intermediate, and advanced book for ukulele and guitar for the high school class, ideally. But also with each song, you get the manuscript, the updated notation, a little lesson about any new symbols or rhythms or whatever, and then the mo'olelo, which is like the background story on the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're a student now, right? You're doing musicology, a master's program in ethnomusicology.
Yeah.
Because of this.
Yeah. So I got into the end of my first year. I went to report back to the school how my sabbatical was going, and I said I need another year to do all the digital portion. And then I started doing all this recording at home and things. And then I realized that, you know what, I also need help with the research portion. And so I went to the University of Hawaii and asked if I could get into the ethnomusicology program there. July 26th, this last summer, I asked if I could get in, and within 2 weeks I was in class. Yeah, it was crazy.
Nice.
They fast-tracked my admittance.
And do you have an idea of when this will be released? Or
we're piloting the first draft right now with the kids up at school. So my substitute teacher up there is piloting. And then next semester, we're going to do like a final pilot and revision, and hopefully, spring 26 will be the first volume.
Nice.
And then I'll be working on volume 2 and 3. Once we have that solidified as the formatting, right, for everything, then it can all kind of fill in. Because I already know the repertoire. I'm just sort of doing and I actually have a bunch of the curriculum organized already. It's just a matter of the background story research. Doing that for 120 songs is a lot, right? And so...
wow, that's so cool. 6th ring. I want to ask you about, now talking about all the rap that you play, the classical guitar world can be a very conservative world. I don't know if I can say it like that.
Yeah.
But how do you approach this? You do like Disney arrangements, you also play the classical repertoire that we all play. You play ukulele, like you do all this stuff. What do you think about this? Like the classical guitar world, and how do you approach this? Your personality as an artist.
I think I'm most influenced. Well, okay, so my largest influences, right? Benjamin Verdery, Carlos Barbosa Lima, Andrew York. They play what they want to play. They play what they like to play.
Yeah. And you see this when they're playing.
Yes,
you know
they
love
their
it.
music. They love what they're doing. Nobody plays their own arrangements in their music like they do. They're all creators, composers, arrangers, right? That's really what inspires me more than essentially look at how I can do this musicology program of the history of music and play every era. I mean, that's really cool for a student, right? But when you get out there in the world, I do think that people outside of academia don't always sympathize with academia. And integrity, I do think, is important, right? So I did that little intro with you guys and played a little B-roll melody called Born and Raised, which is written by...
Name of your album.
Yeah, the name, and the track from my first album. And that's written by a buddy of mine, Bailey Matsuda. And he wrote that melody for a PBS documentary about the closing of the sugar mills on the Big Island. So when I approach that, I do some tapping to make it sound like it's like a Hawaiian rhythm. For the ipu drum. That's a calabash, a gourd drum. Used for hula accompaniment. So I try to incorporate that. Different things. There's a little scale that he uses. It's almost like a Japanese pentatonic scale, right? And that's to recognize that the population for the sugar plantation was largely Japanese. Like I'm a quarter ethnically Japanese. Like that's from the sugar plantation era. Wow. You know, my grandparents were first generation in Hawaii. So, you know, I do think that whatever you decide to play, if, you know, a lot of what I do now, even though it's maybe just kids songs, you know, at the moment when I'm recording or things, I always try to bring the most that I can bring with color, balance, tone, dynamics, rubato, phrasing. All of those still apply, right? It's not that just goes like, well, now I'm playing kids songs, guess I can just forget that, right? Like, no. Like, why? If you're playing Are You Sleeping, right? Like, that means you have to be even more delicate, right? Yeah. And your tone should be even warmer, right?
It's very nice.
So why, like, I don't know. Like, I think sometimes we take ourselves a little too seriously as classical guitarists. And to just remember that we are also guitarists. Yeah. We're musicians first, right? Who play the guitar. And one of the things we love about the guitar is that we can play so many different styles of music. And what comes with so many different styles of music, you know what I'm realizing now, are different cultures. And that's a part of, I think, you know, that openness and that embracing, you know, of and that warmth is what, you know, the guitar can bring to the music world, right? We can take a program, we can play Chopin, and we can play Bach, and we can play Prince, and we can play, you know, Eric Clapton or whatever, right? Like I would, you know, if somebody's doing a really convincing arrangement, like I would love to hear a great classical guitar arrangement of Tears in Heaven, but like something nice, you know what I mean? Like not just like, you know, not just enough, but, you know, really put some thought into it, some architecture, some phrasing, like, and it could be beautiful, right? Just.
And building your name and personality as an artist too. Like, you have a message to say. I think that's very nice about your work.
Yeah.
Like, this is Ian playing.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that, you know, it's definitely not like dumbing down or anything like that, right? But I do like playing music that people know. Like one of my favorite tunes to play now is You Are My Sunshine. And it's based on a ukulele arrangement that I learned from Benny Chong, but I sort of added bass notes and have this whole, you know, architecture to it. We have the A version, melody, and then the B, and then it goes into the solo development, right? And then it comes back, and then it has an ending, coda, right? I mean, like, I'm still trying to throw in classical influences into this pop music and Americana and popular music, but it doesn't mean that it can't be a tune that we can sing, you know? Yeah. And there's nothing like, honestly, sitting in front of 1,000 people or whatever and playing a melody and hearing them sing along. Like, come on. Isn't that, I mean, I didn't get into it so that people can go like, that was really fast.
That was so hard.
That was so clean. You didn't make any squeaks. You know, I mean, like, that's cool, but the most important thing is like, man, that song reminded me of my auntie, or like, you know, when you played that, you know, we got in the car afterwards and I've been listening, you know, like one of my favorite comments was somebody on YouTube who said like, man, I heard you play at a festival and I've been listening to your song with my son in the car all week. You know, something like that. It's like, that's so cool. That's it. I want to do that. Yeah, and if I think about my invitation into the world of music, which was hearing B.B. Shawn play, and it gave me chicken skin, and I looked around and I realized, you know, he wasn't playing down, right? Like, they realized they're playing for a bunch of kids that aren't paying attention, but they did not lessen their musicality and their intention with their playing, you know? They delivered, and I was listening.
And that one person listening, like, change your life.
Yeah, man. And so that's what's most important, man. I don't matter.
That's amazing. Well, with that amazing ending, we're gonna finish one more episode of the Augustine Strings Wind-Up. Ian, thank you so much.
Ahui ho.
It was so nice to meet you.
Till we meet again.
One more. How do I say bye?
Ahui ho.
Oh, this is bye? Like,
yeah, it means like
ahui ho.
Until we meet again. Yeah, ahui ho.
Thank you everyone for watching one more episode. If you didn't subscribe in the beginning, do it now. Follow Augustine Strings on Instagram. Follow Ian on his social media. You can follow me too if you want. And stay tuned for the next episodes. Bye-bye. Aloha.